Welcome to my video series, Targeted, where I review food and cooking products from ads targeted to me on the internet. Today, we're going to try this. I just got it in the mail and we're going to check it out. It's a new pepper grinder. So somehow the internet overlords knew that I broke my pepper grinder, and I have been using this mortar and pestle for like a year to grind pepper, which works pretty well, but it's not the most efficient. And sometimes I just don't want to pull this out just to season something. So this was advertised to me on the internet quite a few times before I pulled the trigger because it's $34, which just seems like a lot of money. But my previous pepper grinders were inexpensive and they broke, and this really caught my eye. So, what I really liked about this from the ads is a couple of things. First, I liked the shape. I just thought it was kind of a unique shape. And it looked like it would hold a lot of pepper. So it does look like it's got a pretty big compartment for pepper. And also, I really liked the idea of this twist. It looked like easier to use than that one on the top. And it does feel pretty sturdy. So let's take a look at how easy it is to fill. Wow, this does hold a lot of pepper. And then how easy it is to grind. Seems pretty easy. And I kind of am already liking this little bottom compartment that will hold the pepper. But you know what? I think I have to give this a good go before I give a final review. So I'm going to use this all week, and I'm going to come back and give my final review based on using this for a week in my regular cooking. So I will see you in a week. Hi everyone, I am back and I have been using my PepperMate pepper mill for the last week since I unboxed it exactly 1 week ago. So I thought it was time to come back and give you a proper review on what I think about this product. As always, I try to rate my products on form. How does it look? Function, does it do what it says it's supposed to do? Maybe does it do more? And value, is it worth the price I paid for this? So let's get started. Now, as far as form goes, I really like the look of this product. It looks a little bit unique and different to other pepper mills on the market, and that is initially what caught my attention when I first clicked on my first targeted ad. Normally, a pepper mill is a little bit taller and skinnier, and this has got a chunky oblong shape, and that shape ties into its function, which we'll talk about in a minute. I also love any product that you can get in different colors, and this one comes in 4 different colors, aside from black, which I bought to match my kitchen. You can buy white and red and this really cool electric blue. Now, I'm kind of wishing I bought the red because I love nothing more than a pop of color, but this works well, and at least it's not white and won't start looking dirty too quickly. Um, so that's about it for form, but let's go ahead and talk about function. As far as the functionality of this product goes, I really like it. But there are a few quirks that we'll talk about. And let's talk about first, the main function of this pepper grinder is to grind pepper. And it works like a champ. Now, it has this nice ergonomic knob to turn, and it turns pretty easily, and it's very powerful. Just a few grinds, maybe 3 grinds, 3 turns of this knob, is matches about like 10 grinds of a traditional pepper grinder. It just grinds pepper so efficiently. I also really like this clear bottom. So you can grind right into this base, which you can remove. And so if you want to grind a ton of pepper, like maybe you need a tablespoon for a recipe, or you're seasoning a huge steak or huge roast, you can just grind away and then get what you need. But you can also just season straight from the pepper grinder, so that's a pretty cool piece of functionality, which I really like. And it's clear, so you can kind of see it. Um, and you can also kind of get a sense of the coarseness of the grind, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I would say my favorite part of this pepper grinder ties back into the form and its shape and kind of what that brings to the functionality. So to fill this pepper grinder, you just remove this top lid, and the inside is really large. There's a large area for your pepper. Um, and so it makes it really super easy to fill. Now, if you've ever filled a traditional pepper grinder, you know that it's kind of a pain. There's just not a lot of space in the top opening usually. You're sharing it with that rod that runs through the whole thing to allow for the pepper grinding. Whenever I filled one of those things, I spilled a ton of pepper and it was just a mess. And I always just hated doing it. It was one of those silly little tasks like grating cheese, which I also dislike a lot. That's not really hard, but it just frustrated me. But with this, it fills really easily, no spilling and no mess. The size also allows it to have a lot of room for the pepper berries. And I want to measure how many fit in here because I bet it's close to a cup. And this isn't totally full, but I got a cup measure here. So that is about a half a cup. So I bet once you fill this to the top, you get 3/4 of a cup of pepper berries into your pepper grinder, which means it's going to be very efficient and last you forever. You're not going to have to actually refill this thing very often. The other thing that's pretty good about this is that the dial that changes the coarseness of your pepper, you can grind it fine to very coarse, is right here and very easy. And there's nothing in the way of turning that dial. So that is pretty great. The lid is easy to pop on and very tight. It's not going to come off on you. Now, let's talk about a couple of the quirks. The first quirk is that this bottom compartment can kind of be a little kludgy to get on. It's just not as smooth, and which is really weird because the top part is very smooth to get on. It's not the end of the world, but it's just a little bit annoying. I'm really not acting here. Like, yeah, okay. It's not always that hard. Sometimes it is. I don't know. Maybe it's a me problem. The other quirk that I do not love is the fact that, say, I've taken and ground something for a recipe and I want to put it in and stir. When I set this down, it's just wobbly. And that's because the grinding mechanism juts out a little bit, which is fine when it's attached, flat and stable. But when it's not, it's just very wobbly. Now, this has never actually fallen over on me, so maybe it's like a weeble and it wobbles and it will not fall down. But I have granite countertops and tile floors, and I just get a little anxious that, I'm a very clumsy person. I'm just going to, knock it over and it's going to break. But it hasn't happened, and maybe it's just weird anxiety. And again, that is not the end of the world, but just something to note about the product. But overall, this does the job really well, and I really like using this product. Now, let's talk money. The reason it took me, gosh, months to decide to purchase this product is that it was $34.95, which just seemed like a lot of money for a pepper grinder. That said, My previous pepper grinder was super cheap. It was like $12.95 at Cost Plus World Market, and it fell apart within 2 years. So I guess you get what you pay for. I also did a lot of digging around after my cheap pepper grinder broke. And I did see that pretty much quality pepper grinders range from about 30 to 50, some really super fancy ones, maybe even $80. And this is right in the middle of that range. Now, PepperMate advertises that this should last for a very long time and that the grinding mechanism is made from ceramic, which helps with that longevity. So we will see. So I think thinking about sort of the market and how much a quality pepper grinder costs, to me, this seems like it is worth it. And then when I think a little bit more on how often I'm going to use this product, I'll use this probably several times a day, every day, most likely. And so when you think about kind of the cost per use, I mean, you're talking about like minuscule fractions of pennies over time. So as long as this thing lasts me years and years, I think it is definitely worth the money. So I hope you like this review. And if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. And click that little subscribe button in that bell button to be alerted when I launch a new video. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Now go have some fun in the kitchen and make something with pepper.